Good evening and welcome to the Village Board meeting for the Village of Pleasantville. Today is Monday, January 9. If you are watching live on Monday, January 9, we encourage you to call in. If you have comments or questions, our call-in number is 769-1677. Our next scheduled meeting is 2 weeks from today, Monday, January 23 at 8 p.m. With a work session at 7. And as always, you can watch us live on Verizon or Optimum Cable TV or at PCTV76.org, and within a couple of days you can pick up an on-demand webcast of this and past meetings at PCTV76.org. So we have a bunch of announcements to report. The first is that John Guyon, who was the mayor of the Village of Pleasantville from 1959 to 1963, and a long-standing figure here in the village, had retired to Arizona, passed away on Christmas Day. So there was a long and very nice article in the Examiner that I encourage everybody to take a look at. John was a great figure in the Village of Pleasantville. His father and then John ran Guyon Insurance Agency. There's a reason that people live on Guyon Street because of that family's deep roots and long tradition here. His service as mayor coincided with major changes in the downtown when the railroad cut was built and the at-grade railroad was sunken below the grade level. And in the years after he was mayor, he remained an active presence who contributed mightily to the village. I know Mindy knew him in his retirement years.
I was very blessed because he was actually living in the same facility as my in-laws, which was a beautiful, beautiful place. And John lived in an independent living in a beautiful cottage, and he was a very avid swimmer. They had a beautiful, beautiful pool facility there, 2 of them. And John every day was doing laps for very extended periods of time. In fact, I got to swim next to him one time when I was out there, which was really kind of funny. He's a lot taller than I am, so he had a beautiful, long, long stroke. But he always made time for me on my visits out there. And no matter what, we arranged it before I got there. My in-laws would tell him, Mindy's coming at this time. And we'd sit at a certain area and what's going on? I heard about this, or I heard about this, and he would have very strong opinions, always be up to date. He gave me some great advice over the years that I follow to this day when I sit up here. And also he told me some really great stories about when they did lower, one of them it was just really blew my mind, but when they did lower the tracks, prior to them lowering the tracks, there was a person that sat in this little, not unlike the previous, I think it was the previous building to what the Iron Horse Grill was. And he would get out and have to lower the gate manually and lower it and raise it manually. And it was, the way John described this gentleman, he was a fairly large man, and he would go back into the little hut, and he was a tatterer. He made lace. So he would go and lift up the train track and then go back and make lace. So he told me stories like that and what was where. There was actually some illegal boxing that took place over in an area in the Village of Pleasantville. But his commitment till right up until the end there, he had a bad fall, unfortunately, which facilitated this. And I sat with him the last time I was out there, which was last summer. And we sat, he invited me to, his family were eating in the dining room, and I sat with him for a good hour and updated him on some things, and just in great form as always. And also, I believe his father-in-law was the village manager. His father-in-law is in one of those pictures. Is the Miller? Is there a?
There's a Miller, yes.
Yes, that's his father-in-law. So
down the road a little bit.
Yeah. So he had a long line of service, and they talked about in the article the great laugh and sense of humor he had, and it is so true. He just really just he made everybody they talked to feel like $1 million and made you feel very welcome. He was also on the Business Revitalization Task Force way back when, in the 90s, and I was on that committee with him, and very green to municipal situations. And I just remember walking down the street with him, and I said something about, I would never want to have the corners, the curbs bump out, because, then you're taking, the roads are so wide. And he turned to me and he said, Mindy, that's exactly why you would want the curbs. And he stood there and he explained the whole thing, and I was like, you're right. That's like constantly teaching, constantly helping, and I will so miss him and Jean. I hope I get to see Jean the next time I'm out there, which will be shortly. So.
Thank you for that. So a life well lived. He died at age 94, and his picture hangs here on the wall and will do so forevermore. So. On a happier note, I attended yesterday the swearing-in ceremony for State Senator Terrence Murphy, who was sworn in for his second term representing the 40th Senate District in New York State, which includes the Village of Pleasantville. Congratulations to Senator Murphy. We look forward to productive work with you in your second term. As a shout-out, I doubt that we get too many folks from Peekskill watching our board meeting, but the national anthem was delivered by the Peekskill High School City Singers, and they were a knockout. Just unbelievable. So a happy day in Peekskill at the swearing-in ceremony for Terrence Murphy. Speaking of state matters, we are, all of us collectively throughout Westchester, starting the process of putting together a legislative agenda as the current winter session of the legislature has now convened, and it's our opportunity to try to encourage our senators and assembly people to act in the ways we wish they would. I am now the legislative chair for the Westchester Municipal Officials Association, and so I've been assembling material from other communities, and we'll be having this conversation with this board, but I encourage anybody who has any opinion about what Albany ought to be doing to let us know. I can give you the grim report that I compared the 2016 list we went with to the 2015 list we went with, and not one single item that we requested was enacted. So we're going to narrow our focus and increase our horsepower. So stay tuned on that front. And as an aside, you may have noticed that Governor Cuomo is, instead of delivering his State of the State message in Albany, as has been the tradition, is delivering 6 different speeches around the state, including a speech tomorrow at SUNY Purchase. So we'll see what he has to say on that front. I wanted to report that anybody who is part of the Community Choice Aggregation Program run by Sustainable Westchester, about which we've had plenty of discussion, and Pleasantville as a participant, will have gotten a letter in the last week or two reporting that the supplier, Con Edison Solutions, has been purchased by the Constellation division of a company called Exelon. This doesn't come as a great surprise. It was known right at the outset that Con Edison Solutions was potentially going to merge or be purchased. Exelon is a very big company based in Chicago, a Fortune 100 company with well over 30,000 employees. Had a conversation with Sustainable Westchester about this transition, and they report that they anticipate no issues of any kind. Exelon easily meets the stringent financial requirements and capitalization requirements that are built into the contract, and it should have no effect on anyone. So there isn't any action that anyone needs to take, other than it was a legally required notice for you to receive to find out that Con Edison Solutions is now Constellation, a division of Exelon. The folks at Sustainable Westchester are going to be back to us relatively soon with a report on progress so far, but I got an interim report about how the Con Ed territory has fared in the roughly 8 months since Sustainable Westchester rolled out the Community Choice Aggregation Program, and the overall story is that in the 8-month period, electric rates vary up and down, as they always have. The Community Choice Aggregation Program provides the advantage of a fixed, stable rate that's the same every month. So in the 8 months that the program has operated, in 6 of them, the fixed rate from Sustainable Westchester, even the green fixed rate from Sustainable Westchester, was better than the rate from the default supplier Con Ed, and in 2 months it was higher. The net effect over 8 months is a savings for the participants in Con Ed territory of give or take about $1.5 million. So that doesn't correlate to a huge savings for any individual household, but savings nonetheless, and significant savings overall aggregated around Con Edison territory. So we'll get more detail on that when Sustainable Westchester returns, as they will within the next couple of months, with a detailed report for each of the communities that are participating. At the moment, there are 20 communities who are participating, Pleasantville being a part. Anybody who's interested in taking a look at that who may not be in the program should go to westchesterpower.org. Sustainable Westchester has now 2 customer service people who are there at the phones to answer questions if you have any. Shout out to Patty Dwyer over there, who through yeoman effort has rolled out our revamped website at pleasantville-ny.gov.
Thank you.
So if you are used to going there,
Pictures, please.
you will go there and find
Some of Jonathan's pictures.
a new front end. Jonathan Cunningham, a photographer extraordinaire, in the audience tonight, for reasons other than our opportunity to compliment him, but here's our chance.
I'll take them now because after I get done with the podium.
Yeah.
Can I also mention it's smartphone compatible?
Yes,
I'm
please.
Very excited
Say
about
whatever you
that.
need.
Yeah, it's in a format that is smartphone compatible, so very pleased with that. It has a number of applications that the old site did not lend itself to carry as easily. We have broken up the homepage in certain sections, one called a Citizen Action Center, where people can pay bills online, volunteer for boards and commissions, sign up for recreation programs, contact anybody who they need to speak to here in the village, and look at other things like reporting a concern. Then we have quick links right on the homepage, sanitation schedule, which everybody's always calling for. But what's nice about it is that right from your smartphone, you can contact anybody to report a concern, to sign up for programs, to sign up for Code Red, to look at financial data. We have our assessment roles online. We have our OpenGov link linked in through financial data, so people can take snapshot looks at our transactions. I like it. I think it's going to elevate our image, at least externally. I know internally we have a great image, but externally, people really couldn't see what we can do, and I think this is going to be a big help. So we're open to suggestions, but I think this is 90% there where it needs to be.
Yeah, so thank you for that, Patty. I know
Sure.
This is a no small venture, and as Patty mentioned, there are a few bumps in the road and some pieces we want to fill in, but I think it's also a framework that will give us an opportunity to make much better use and more timely use of the website as a means of getting information out to all of you. So suggestions are welcome, but in the meantime, take a look at pleasantville-ny.gov. And then lastly, in this long list of announcements, bear with us a little bit. Tonight is the first night for us to be running a meeting off the new online Novus agenda system. Some of you who watch regularly will know that we made a decision to switch to an online agenda system a month or 2 ago, and this is the first meeting in which we've been able to take advantage of that. It's a great opportunity for all of us, and it's going to be a great opportunity for the public, I think, in the end, to have better access to all the information that they may be interested in any subject. But as we make our way around our login dashboards, we may get a little lost until we get our feet wet.
That's for sure.
Anybody else have announcements to make?
No, but I have a request for the sanitation schedule. I know this because this just happened to me. We don't have anything online that tells you what group you're in. Like, it tells you when your garbage is being picked up, but like, I moved and I didn't know if I was in group 1, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So
Actually, I solved your problem today. It's on our new site.
Okay.
So if you do look on our homepage,
Right, which
under
I'm on.
quick links, hit the sanitation schedule, and then just scroll down, you'll see the routes follow the, do you see the routes? Should be right.
All right, here.
Schedule. Where is it? I'll find it. All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right, any other announcements?
Well, just one quick thing, when you were talking about the community choice aggregation, it reminded me that, I don't know if people have seen the news yet or not, but Entergy and New York have agreed to close Indian Point. And if you haven't heard about that yet, that's happening. Entergy will close Indian Point, the nuclear power plant over on the Hudson River. Will wrap it down by 2021 is when that will finally shut off. So if that's a thing you've been interested in knowing about, well, now you know.
So,
That's impressive.
much commentary on that front, pro and con, but I think
Lock in on. Oh.
the 3 reactors, one been shut down for a long time.
Right, this is
One will
2
shut
and 3.
down in 2020 and the other in 2021.
2 and 3 will be done, will be all wrapped up, and then they'll have remedial work and environmental stuff to take care of that will take it out to 2025. But I think that was a priority of the governors for quite a while, and
It has
I guess
been,
they
yes.
finally did it.
That it
I have a
has.
feeling Entergy probably realized it was not worth,
They wouldn't renew their permits.
right, it wasn't worth, I think they spent $200 million trying to get that license renewed. So that's a lot of atoms that got split.
Careful what you wish for.
So I just wanted to throw that in relative to your conversation about sustainable Westchester.
Right. Okay, any other announcements?
I found it for you, Colleen.
All right.
Yeah, I did, I got
got
it.
it?
Okay, thank you.
Have you determined what route you're on?
So Colleen's not out there putting her garbage out every day.
All right. We have a number of items on our agenda tonight. The most prominent of them is our resolution number 9, which is the adoption of the master plan update. So rather than keep the likes of Jonathan waiting, let's use this public.
You want public comment before, or it's actually not on that
I'm going to go that way.
So I think, why don't we get public comment on this or any other subject now?
On the agenda, public comment comes right
Here
after
it is.
announcements. So there you
No, but he
go.
was going to comment on an
Yeah.
agenda item.
I understand.
Okay.
I'd be
You got to
remiss.
identify yourself.
Jonathan Cunningham, 14 Tioga Lane.
Thank you, sir.
Taxpayer, Pleasantville.
Taxpayer extraordinaire.
Yes, and it will come as no surprise that I want to comment on the resolution to accept certiorari.
Yes?
I don't know how closely you guys have looked at this. I find these obscene. This is 4G owned, right, on Marble Avenue.
Yes.
We are accepting a revised assessment of their building, which is fairly new, from $90,000, which seems fairly reasonable to me, to less than half of that, to $38,000, ranging to $46,000. So my assumption is, through some gyration of the, roughly we're cutting their tax bill in half. I don't see the backup material, but my guess is that it works out to be somewhat in that area.
So there are 2 buildings in play there. One is the...
They all are saying the same. They're all the same magnitude, right?
No, the one
Excuse
building...
me. You're right. I'm talking about block 106.10, block 1, lot 44.
One of them is the 4G on auto body. The other,
Which is the most significant
in
one.
common ownership, is the car repair facility
Correct.
next door that has 5 bays.
Correct.
So I had the same reaction when I saw that. We do have backup, and I can't get into all of it. It involves legal counsel giving us advice by law. But basically, it involves appraisals and the fact that over time, with the change in equalization rates, which, having been on this board for so long, you're so aware of, the equalization rates set by the state, although we may have had them at the right assessment at one point in time, because the equalization rates changed, our assessment became out of whack based against the fair market value. There were appraisals, and
Well, I'm really very familiar with that, and I don't know that the equalization rate goes into the assessed value. I don't think that's part of that calculation. I think that goes into the taxable that comes out of the assessed value. But what I will say is that the assessed value is a part of the commercial. There are two ways that they come across that. One is fair market value, and the other is a commercialized formula that they use, which involve cap rates and everything else. And my advice to you guys is this. We have argued about this. You've heard me complain about this every certiorari that's come up. We've looked for a test case that isn't too big, but is significant enough that might have an impact, to reject and take it to the courts. My suggestion is this is one. It is anybody that looks at that building knows that that building's worth more than $38,000. I don't care whether they're running a business there or it's fair market
That's
value.
the assessed
That's the assessed
value.
value.
just so people know.
The assessed value, correct.
But that is not the market value.
That's not the
Oh,
market.
believe me, I know it's not the market
But,
value.
that's-
Jonathan, the assessments, as you know, are not at full market value. So
Correct.
an assessment of 38,000 equates, I'll look for it here.
No, I understand.
It's the equalization
But-
rate, or maybe it's 7.2% or something.
I understand. And don't get me wrong, I'm looking, I don't know I don't have all the backup, so I don't know. I'm only looking at the fact that the assessed value went from $90,000 to $38,000. So that works through the math proportionally. So there's over a 50% reduction. You and I, residential homeowners, are paying for that. That's going to come right out of our pockets. And so, you can do your master plan updates, which is number 9, and encourage development. But if we don't do something to begin to fight back against our commercial tax base being able to take 50 and 60% reductions out of our hides based on an arcane formula that does not work, then we're paddling upstream against current on this stuff, and the residential homeowner is going to end up subsidizing condos and co-ops and residential and commercial properties throughout the village, and they're all going to be assessed at the wrong value, whether market value or not. And my point is, here's a case where we could reject it and take it to court. It may be futile. We may lose. It may be the same judges are there saying, we don't want to hear this, we don't want to hear anything about the cap rate, because I guarantee you, it all falls on the cap rate, which is where this is all falling apart.
Totally true. But as you know, and I have the same frustration you have, but as you also know, since you and I have both had this conversation with the judge.
Yes.
The court in Brooklyn that assesses these things has thus far been utterly and completely disinterested in revising their thinking to incorporate fluctuating cap rates based on the environment. So the risk we confront...
My only point, Peter, is that I don't know how a judge, in the face of a 60% reduction in assessed value, can look at that and say, even on a common sense, and I'm sure they can, because I've been astounded by the built-in resistance in this, because it's complicated. The judges don't understand it. They don't want to understand it, honestly. But the reality is, it's becoming so absurd that at some place, somebody's got to raise their hand and go, I get it. This is just, it defies common sense.
So here's what we have. We have a recommendation from legal counsel with a whole description of all the reasons why, and our assessor to accept this.
Correct.
And the assessor in
So
Mount
there are
Pleasant.
professionals that we hire professionals because that's their job, is what they
Correct.
do. And so we have their recommendation, and then I'm sure we have a lawyer on the other side saying, you're not doing us any favors giving us a 50% reduction. We were more than double over assessed. That's their side of that same story. We're saying, we're giving you a 50, 60% reduction. They're saying, no, we were twice as high as we should have been. You're only putting us to where we should be. So it's very hard, as I sit here, to look at my professionals and say, we're going to reject what you're recommending. That's the
And
only
Joe,
thing I have
I've
to
had
say.
those in-depth conversations. I mean, the assessor actually would he would argue these numbers are right, because there's the same bias built into the system. Everybody's looking at that cap rate and saying, there's nothing we can do about the cap rate. It's probably 8.5% or 9% right now they're using.
That's a matter of market. It's a market issue.
You tell me where you can get 8.5% or 9% on
not market.
anything.
That's the
Nowhere.
problem.
On
It's not market.
anything. That was
More.
8.5% and 9% when high yield rates were at 14. High yield rates are at 6 now, and it's still 8.5% and 9%. So there's a built-in bias. Your lawyers are giving you this advice because they're saying the courts won't touch it. Well, but they've been saying that for 9 years, and so everybody listens to that, and nobody goes and challenges it. I'm only suggesting we should, $25,000. If we lose it, it's 20. You owe them. There's some small penalty that would go on top of that. But
What's the legal fees?
Back up a little bit, Jonathan. So, first off, of course you're right. Secondly, of course, Joe's points are right too. As you probably recall, this case dates back to 2010.
Correct.
And if we go to court and lose,
Right.
we owe whatever we lose plus interest for that entire period,
Correct.
compounded over all those years, plus the legal fees of going to court. And as you know, we're not at liberty to discuss the confidential advice of counsel, but you can make a reasonable assumption that we do agree, those on our side, that there was some overassessment here. So the question really here is, what's the delta between the overassessment that we would agree existed and the applicant's claim of their value? And then what kind of impact does that have on the Village of Pleasantville taxpayer? You're quite right that every time somebody gets a reduction in their assessment, everybody else pays a little more. But every time we spend $20,000 or $40,000 or $60,000 in legal fees, everybody else pays more to pay it. Now, that's obviously a one-time expense. It's not a gift that keeps on giving like a permanent assessment reduction, but the whole system is the definition of a catch-22.
Well, and we've struggled with this, right? I mean,
Right.
you know, some of the certiorars are way too big to risk that interest expense. This is $4,000 over 5 years. You know, what's it going to work out to be? A few $100.
The refund in total is about $27,000.
It's $4,000 a year.
No, it's 20, yeah, because we're paying 26,000, 25,500
No.
we're paying back. 12, the refund on Lot 43 for 2010 and 2011, which are the 2 years in play there, is $1,277.72. Lot 44, where 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 are in play, the refund under the proposed settlement is $24,389.63. That refund is less than the applicant has claimed and less than, so if the applicant were to go to court and be successful with their position.
I know, and
you know.
again, I've studied these certiorars, every single one of them, when I was on the board, and they all claim this huge amount, which is ridiculous. And, you know, with the idea, just like, you know, insurance works, you know, claim a huge discount.
I get it, yes.
Negotiate back towards something that
Yes.
is still something that you're going Yahoo over, but, you know, but makes everybody feel like they gave a little. And again, my only point is, this is probably one of the most corrosive aspects of our tax code and of the village finances, and if...
I mean, you mean the state tax code, not ours. Right.
Correct.
It's the New York State tax system. It's the system that
Right.
they've given us.
Yes. As residential homeowners, this hurts us probably more than anything else you guys do every year, the amount that we pay in certioraries.
It's true.
Because whatever goes out of theirs comes directly out of our pockets. And so...
I'm surprised you weren't up here for
My
this.
point is, we've talked about, or you guys, the board has talked about fighting one of these in court, even though every one of them comes with advice from counsel not to do it, and an assessor that says, you know, I can kind of get there based on the fact set that is laid before me. And all I'm saying is that fact set is tremendously biased all the way through, and the only way to start to change is to fight one of these. And you know, I'm realistic. I'm not optimistic that you're going to prevail. I think your odds are you don't, but
I'll
you
give you
stick a
this.
stake in the ground.
I'll give you this, at a 60% reduction, if we come out the end of a trial with a 30% reduction, we won.
Yeah, and it still
Because
sounds
at that
like
point,
a big
all the
number.
judges, this is what the judge is going to do. What's the value? What's the value of this property? That's how we're going to establish. We're going to apply an equalization rate for each of those years against the value. That's what it is. And if we can establish that the value is higher than this settlement,
Well,
value is
but the only
something
way to establish, the way that you're going to establish the value is higher,
appraisal.
whether they listen to it or not, is the cap rate. You're going to say, look, Judge, nowhere in the world do you get 8 or 9% pre-tax, and then you get to add another 2.5% of
But
tax
it's not
on
a
top of
function of what the
that.
appraiser, we have a professional appraiser, we have a trial, we have an expert, we hire an appraiser. Isn't
Yeah.
that the appraiser who says, no, cap rates shouldn't be at 8%, cap rates should be at 4%.
Correct.
So, but,
And that puts the value up higher.
I mean.
Anyways,
I don't disagree
we're all
with
saying
you.
we're all saying the same thing. I think it's just a question of. It struck me as this seemed like to be a large enough settlement that it's worth maybe fighting over, but not too large that if we lose, it's a budget. It hurts the budget detrimentally. And it begins to give you guys some leverage to put a stake in the ground.
And if we lose by less,
And if you lose by life,
that's a win.
right?
So, but I hear you, but I think if we lose, I don't know what an estimate of the legal fees would be, but I think we have the potential to lose $50,000 here. And get
Well,
a
I mean,
a
before you
reduction
throw
along the way.
numbers around, I think it probably makes some sense to
Well,
figure it out. But yeah, okay.
The council
maybe.
does address that in their recommendation to us.
What, the legal fees?
Yes.
To fight it? It's 50,000 to fight it?
No, he
No.
doesn't give us a number,
Doesn't give us, but
he gives
he
us some
gives like a
indication
conclusion.
of the risk that we confront. So,
Okay.
I
Maybe
mean,
it's worth a work session with
Yeah, have we
legal
ever,
counsel.
I mean, I've been on the board 5 years, you were here. Have we ever been told anything other than the standard template
Never.
response that we get
No,
ever?
and Jonathan, went to a great effort to sit down and drill down on what it was, and came back very frustrated, I'd say.
well, we fired off a letter to the administrative judge.
Do we fire
Yeah.
that off,
Yeah.
by the way? Did that ever go out?
Yeah.
Okay. I know I gave it to you guys. I don't know if it ever went out, but.
Yes.
Okay, good.
A cannon. We fired
It's
it off.
a,
Boom.
unfortunately, it would have needed to be a cannon in order to have any impact.
But I think this has all become so routine,
Right.
particularly when we vote on this. I don't think that citizens realize what we're actually voting on, how it
Right.
affects them. So I appreciate so much you bringing attention to the fact that we've got these on more and more, too. For more and more
you got
years.
there's a
So
huge-
I'm
there's a
all in
seven-figure
favor
backlog
of-
facing you guys this year,
like floating the
certiorari,
tax
so.
alone.
Good luck with that. I mean, and I know it's always a frustration, and you feel kind of helpless in it. But at some point, I think the only way to start to overcome that is you got to fight back. You got to choose a place and fight back.
I just want to add to that, Jonathan, thank you for that. This particular certiorari was settled with Mount Pleasant signing on as well to this settlement proposal because of the appraisals we received. So we really didn't have the evidence that we would have liked to have had to go to the judge with, some supporting evidence to say that we are.
Yeah, I mean, and again, my guess
Well,
is
but I mean,
that
we
Mount
do
Pleasant does
have-
the same thing we do. They look at it,
Right.
they get the same briefs, and they go, okay, fine,
Yeah, the
we'll
professional-
settle.
That's true. That's what I was
Yeah.
saying, but I don't disagree with philosophically what you're talking about.
And we get the email that talks about the legal costs, but maybe we could have a discussion with someone about what realistically the legal costs would be,
Yeah.
to do something like this, because I agree, it's just become the standard. It's like a template letter you get, basically saying, don't bother because you're going to spend more money fighting it, but at
If you
some
get
point
Mount
you have to
Pleasant
draw a
behind
line.
doing this, I mean, it's in their best interest too to do
Yes.
this. You could split the legal
Yes.
fees, so.
And also, you're going to get one professional with one appraisal, and we're going to say the building is worth whatever we think it's worth, and that applies both to the village and the town. The value is a value. It's just a question of how does that result in an equalization.
I haven't seen the backup, but my guess is that the market value is
That's kind of like.
significantly higher than the value that they're getting through doing a commercial calculation on it.
Right.
So,
When they revise assessment, they should cap what you can sell it for based on
Correct.
the revised assessment. That would change the numbers.
Well, unfortunately, in the case of commercial property, there's a difference between you can have an assessment based on market value, or if it's in your interest, based on the so-called income method. That's the one
No,
that
I mean,
produces.
And every certiorari that I've seen in the last 8 years has been based on the income method.
But see, here's a
Because
great-
market values haven't dropped 50%.
Here's a crazy thing about our system. They can go and they can get a reduction like this, saying that their building is worth X amount of dollars. Next year, sell it for double.
Well, that's
Right.
what I'm saying.
And we can't
Pat.
raise the assessment on that
Right.
new owner because we're stuck with the assessment we have. even though it
That's
doesn't
why I
have
say it's
what it should be.
corrosive. That's why I say it's.
I mean, that
it's-
same
only ratchets
issue,
down, it never ratchets-
that
never
same
goes up.
issue prevails for homeowners too. I mean, the system is tragically flawed, and it's unfair to fix it, and it's unfair not to fix it.
Well, I would
so-
argue that the same
yeah.
system applies for homeowners, just not in the scale. We don't get the income method. Give me the income method, I can guarantee I'll cut my homeowner.
That
The
make it
taxes you guys
Pretty quick.
get from me, significantly. So, on a $700,000, $800,000 piece of property, maybe you walk away saving a grand or two a year. These guys are saving half, they're cutting the taxes in half.
So I just,
And they'll
whatever
be
we
back in
decide to do,
years doing the
I
same
do
thing.
not, you cannot leave in the listener's mind the idea that everyone agrees that their taxes shouldn't be cut at all, and therefore they're cutting them in
No,
half.
that's
every
not
year. Yeah.
my point at all. My point
Okay.
is 60% reduction in assessed value, even to, in anybody's mind, should throw a red flag that there's an issue. That it shouldn't, it's just not off 60%. And in 3 years, they'll be back. I can all but assure you.
Well,
I mean, we're already seeing repeat people coming back. You guys are. So anyways, look, we can go around the circle on this. I don't mean to take up more of your time. I just think this is an interesting case that you might want to consider, locking elbows with Mount Pleasant to see if, it might not be in everybody's best interest to maybe go and try to fight this thing in court. Even though it's against, admittedly, Joe, I get it, the assessor and the legal counsel's recommendation, but I think that's 10 years of built-up bias in that, and
well, there are some other factors that are obviously confidential.
yeah, I'm sure.
That are listed in the recommendation that go beyond a
Okay.
little bit. So,
Okay.
I would normally say, let's table this and talk about it further, but the last page of this recommendation is pretty significant.
But
That's
just look-
my opinion.
Yeah.
And I share that
Okay.
view with Mindy.
Otherwise,
Um,
I would consider
I mean,
tabling it.
you and I have discussed many times over some years when to find a moment to try to put the
Right.
flag on the top of the hill.
Okay.
I'm not sure this is it,
just-
so.
You guys know much better than I do. I
Okay.
trust you on that.
I
I just
wish.
I wanted to bring it to your attention.
I just
because
don't know where
if it's
you
not
were.
this one, it should be. You're going to have plenty of
Yeah.
We
opportunities
just had a
this
condo
year.
one come through again.
Yeah, I know.
Where were you? I think you were away.
Yeah, I was probably away.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
When we get these letters back, can we ask council to give us an approximation of what they feel it would cost us
Yes.
to
we
fight
can
it?
do that.
And let's include that in the letter?
So will we table this?
I mean, someone can move to table it if they wish to when it comes up. My inclination is to vote on it. So, any other comment from the public or a call in at 769-1677? All right. Steve Lord, resolution number
Novus
1,
Agenda resolution.
and the first of the year.
I don't remember how
And
to
the
get
first
back
of the year,
there.
that's right. Okay, resolve that pre-check register dated January 9th, 2017, covering check numbers 3191 through 3248 and 85274. Wait, I have to expand my Novus window. 85274 through 85378 has been reviewed, and they are hereby approved as listed below. From the general fund, the water fund, the capital fund, the refuse fund, and the trust and agency fund, a total of $242,746.79.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or questions on the check register? All in favor? Aye. Motion approved. Mindy, number 2.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts a donation in the amount of $25 from Rosanna Bell, Washington Avenue, to the Beautification Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much for that. Colleen, number 3.
Did we vote?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor? Aye. Thank you for that.
Resolved that the
Yeah.
Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village attorney to proceed with the settlement of certiorari petitioned by 4GM Associates as designated on the official tax map in section 106.10, block 1, lot 43, and lot 44 as follows. So coming from 106.10, block 1, lot 43, years 2010 and 2011 assessments are being reduced from $45,900 to $37,000 and $39,000 in 2011, reduction of $8,900 in 2010 and $6,900 in 2011, at a tax rate of $79.84 in 2010 and $82.20 in 2011, resulting in a refund of $1,277.72. For the next, it's block 1, lot 44. We're looking at years 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. The original assessment was $90,000. The revised assessment in the same year order is $38,000, $40,000, $41,000, $43,000, $45,000, $46,000, and $46,000. Reductions to $52,000, $50,000, $49,000, $47,000, $45,000, $44,000, and $44,000. And it ends up with a refund totaling $24,389.63. And further resolved that the village treasurer is authorized to issue the applicable refunds in the amount of $25,667.35 to the petitioner's attorney upon receipt of an executed order from the court.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments further to this discussion we've already had?
I do. I'd like to make a motion to table this, to have a conversation, to bring the attorney and the assessor in. I think it's worth a conversation to determine, I mean, I read their letter, but I see the points made by Jonathan during the comment period, and I think it's worth a conversation to decide whether or not, and put this over one meeting, to determine whether or not I will vote yes to support it, or no, let's fight it. I don't know what I'm going to do tonight.
Is there a second for the motion to table?
Second.
Second.
Patty, is there any time pressure that would cause a 2-week delay to be a problem?
I don't believe so. Our taxable status date is January 1, but final is April 1 for the next roll, so I think we're fine, you know, because there's a freeze in effect for one of the parcels if this goes forward. So I think as long as we move by the end of the month, we should be okay.
Okay? So can we have a vote on the motion to table?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. Aye, yes.
Nay.
I'll vote yes on the motion to table based, as already indicated, I was prepared to vote yes on this based on the advice of counsel, but if there isn't any disadvantage to waiting 2 weeks, I'm happy to hear the further commentary. So, motion to table is approved.
Can I ask, Patty, can you please contact the town and just let them know that we have tabled it, or let council know so he can let the town's attorney know that we've tabled it. I don't know whether they've taken
a good
action yet or
idea.
not taken action yet.
a good
If we
idea.
decide not to, if we decide to, as Jonathan said, link arms with the town, they should know that we didn't vote on this yet.
No problem.
2 weeks from now might be a different story, but,
We've already done it,
Yeah,
Let
the
them know.
town's already done it.
Town's already done it.
oh, have they already done it?
Yeah,
All right.
it's in the
Never
letter.
mind.
Yeah.
Also.
Okay, Joe, Resolution 4.
Let me get to it. Polling places. Resolved that the polling place for March 21, 2017 village election shall be located at Village Hall, 80 Wheeler Avenue, Pleasantville, New York, and the hours of said election shall be from 12 noon to 9 o'clock p.m.
Is there a second?
Second?
So, as we've mentioned in some past meetings, there are 2 seats on the village board that will be up for election on March 21, and anyone who might be interested in running is encouraged to get in touch with Judy Weintraub, who can connect you to the Board of Elections and to the rules and regs about how to consider running and how to get on the ballot if you are interested.
The judge is the only other elected official. Is the judge up this
Not this
time?
No.
Okay.
Uh,
All right, all in favor?
Could I just make?
Oh, sure.
Mindy, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I thought that you had said when you announced that you'd be available to answer
Yes,
questions,
that's-
because it
that's
can be a
correct.
complicated document that you have to read. If somebody has any questions, I mean, I feel the same way if someone had questions, but particularly because you're doing that, so, thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Yes.
Great. All right, all in favor, Resolution 4?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Steve, number 5.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby appoints the following election I think that's supposed to be inspectors, right?
Inspectors, correct.
Inspectors for the March 21, 2017 village election. Sal Taglio, Chairman, Giovanna Taglio, Guy Carnes, Connie Mazzullo. And further resolved that the following be appointed as substitute election inspectors: Margaret Limitoni and Mary Felice.
Is there a second?
Second?
Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Mindy?
Resolved that the Board of
6.
Trustees, based upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Recreation, hereby approves the request from Michael Newman to attend the National Parks and Recreation Maintenance Management School in West Virginia from January 29th, 2017 through February 3rd, 2017, at a cost of $2,353.33.
Is there a second?
Second.
That is one extraordinarily specific number.
I'd like to add that Mike had gotten a scholarship to pay some of that cost.
Because the amount, I'm accessing it, because I can't get on them to Novus, I'm accessing it on what was posted, and it's a different amount.
Yes, we had a whole
Right.
bunch of different invoices on this, but I think your not to exceed is fine. I'm really excited to have him go to this. I
Yeah.
think this is really
And it's
going to be
it's within the budget.
instructive. Yes.
Yeah, so, all right, any other questions? All in favor?
Thank you.
Aye. Motion approved. Number 7.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village attorney to proceed with the settlement of certiorari petition by Odyssey Diner Corporation as designated on the official tax map as Section 106.5, Block 2, Lot 25, as follows. These are for the years 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Original assessment was $97,773 for all years. Revised assessment goes from $67,200 down to $72,860 for a reduction of $30,573, $30,495, $30,092, $20,604, $24,913, $24,913, and it ends up with a total refund in the amount of $14,363.01. And further resolved that the village treasurer is authorized to issue the applicable refund in that amount to the petitioner's attorney upon receipt of an executed order from the court.
Is there a second?
Second.
Patty, so further to the action we took on the previous one, is there any time issue that would affect 2 weeks one way or the other?
Not that I'm aware of. I do want to add, though, that the town board of Mount Pleasant does not have to approve these certiorari settlements. Their assessor by law is a sole assessor, so he has independent assessing authority to settle these cases as well. So,
Oh,
yeah, I forgot to mention, like, you would not see this go before their board, you know, if the assessor settles it. And I believe, as trustee Berard said, that was done on both
Yeah.
of these cases.
Okay.
So they are resolved on their end. I don't believe it has any bearing if we do these at the next board meeting as
So
well.
I would say, as I already reported, I was prepared to act on both of these tonight, but
Right.
if we're going to be in the presence of our attorney, we might as well get the opportunity to hear about both.
Great.
Is
Yeah,
there
I
a motion
agree.
to table?
So moved.
So,
Second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion to table?
aye.
Motion is tabled. Okay. Now we're at number 8.
I'm
Joe.
really pleased to be able to do this one.
All right, glad to hear it.
Whereas in 1995, the Village of Pleasantville had adopted a comprehensive master plan which identified goals, policies, and guidelines for the immediate and long-range protection, enhancement, and growth and development of the village. and
Hold
where-
it, hold it, hold it, hold it.
skipped
Hold
one.
it.
You're on-
You're on 9, we're on 8.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I
Do
was,
that one.
No. I'm really
Well,
going to do
do
this
that one
one
if you
too then. Pardon me, I clicked.
Judy's waving it in
See,
front of me, like, what
Nova's got
happened?
me confused. I clicked the
yeah,
wrong one.
well, on 8, for some reason, it shows 8 and 9 as a title.
Yeah, I just.
But it's 8.
For a donation.
I'm not, listen, I just made a mistake.
It's okay.
But,
No, it does show 8 and 9. so-
I'm happy to do this.
Go for it.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts an anonymous donation in the amount of $1,000 towards the Clinton Street Senior Center.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much to the anonymous donor for that generous gift. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved.
And me.
Now it's D.
All right. So I'm equally happy to be able to read this one.
And I think you should read the whole thing.
I will read the whole thing. Whereas in 1995, the Village of Pleasantville, I won't do it as eloquently as Trustee Stargiani.
Yeah, my words were completely different.
Whereas in 1995, the Village of Pleasantville had adopted a comprehensive master plan which identified goals, policies, and guidelines for the immediate and long-range protection, enhancement, growth, and development of the village. And whereas in 1995, the 1995 master plan specifically focused on the major elements of the village's built environment, such as maintaining and enhancing residential neighborhoods, revitalizing commercial areas, supporting light manufacturing and industrial areas, improving transportation and infrastructure facilities, and identifying opportunities for new development. And whereas the village board recognized the value of updating the 1995 master, I think it should say plan, to provide an articulated vision for the village's central business district to create and respond to economic development opportunities. And whereas on June 16th, 2016 and September 20th, 2016, the Village Board of Trustees held community workshops facilitated by Susan Favade of BFJ Planning to collect and incorporate input on issues and opportunities facing Pleasantville and commence the process of updating the master plan for the Village of Pleasantville. And whereas, after public participation, public hearing, and due consideration, the board has developed a master plan update that provides a sustainable vision for downtown growth and development. And whereas on December 12th, 2016, in accordance with the State Environmental Quality Review Act, the board issued a negative declaration of impact with respect to the master plan update. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves and adopts the annexed master plan update for the Village of Pleasantville attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. And be it further resolved that the master plan is to be considered as a non-static, viable template for future board deliberative processes and actions. And be it further and resolved, the village board understands that any actions to be taken by the village board with respect to advancing the elements of the master plan will necessarily include compliance with applicable public notice and hearing requirements and the State Environmental Quality Review Act, known as SECRA. And be it further and resolved that the village clerk be directed to publish the strategic plan on the village's website, place a copy of same at the Mount Pleasant Public Library, and make copies available for the public upon request.
Is there a second?
Second.
So this is a happy day, the conclusion of some months of work with great support by many members of the community and great support by the folks at BFJ Planning, who I think acquitted themselves very well
Great.
on our behalf.
So I just want to bring out that this isn't a statement on the plan itself. It's just or what's in it or anything like that, because, you know, it doesn't go in the list that we now have a vision or recommendations for how to deal with downtown planning, how to deal with assisted living, how to do a number of things, how to market, how to sign, how to increase or change the traffic flows. It encompasses many things, and it's not all listed in this statement. It's just really the process that we're passing, that we're accepting this master plan, and we're adopting it, actually, the master plan. So it's just an overview. It's not a specific.
Right, any further
I could
comments?
never said that without my hands.
No, and I'd like to add, since I'm half Italian, I'll do that
I'm
for
just
you.
saying.
Yeah,
So, well, going forward, you'll have a proposal from BFJ to work on implementing some of the recommendations in this plan. There'll be zoning text amendments that are
That's right.
necessary, perhaps some other policies that the
That's
board
right.
would have to consider. But this is very
Which are
exciting.
listed in the master plan.
Correct. So that's, you know, this provides an excellent foundation, but now you have to build on it, and you have
Right.
to go ahead and look at the zoning in order to be able to effectuate the plan.
Right. So when will they come forth with that?
Hopefully by the
Yeah.
next board meeting.
Okay, that would be great.
that's
Yeah.
already been asked of them, and
Yeah.
they're at work on it, so, and they knew it
Working
was
on that.
coming, so
Right,
they're
right.
three
I
more
want
minutes.
to also just add one quick thing. I think it's important to stress again, I think as you were saying, Mindy, The master plan gives us a roadmap. It's not affecting specific changes now. It's giving us a guideline, giving the whole village a guideline for the kinds of things that we'd like to look at adopting in the future. So if you read the master plan and it says, wouldn't it be great if we did this and this to the intersection? That's simply a conception. It's not necessarily what will happen. It may be something that looks totally different than that. It may be nothing at all. It's only a theoretical construct for things we'd like to see happen in the village. So I just wanted to stress that again. It was an area of this that I wasn't entirely clear on myself way in the beginning, so wanted to make sure that that was stressed again to anybody who's worried that all of a sudden they're going to start seeing bulldozers all over the place. In due course, perhaps, but not because we're approving the plan tonight.
Thank you for that.
And if I might, Mayor, I want to really thank our community, the public, for coming out and participating. I thought, those 2 work sessions that we had were great. And, being on the board, and, you speak to people and they say, well, Joe, you're on the board. You need to have a vision for the future of the village. You need to know what you want to accomplish. And the truth of the matter is, this was really a group effort, and I feel like it's a real community vision of what we'd like our village to be. So, I'm just grateful that people did come out and participated and influenced the end product.
Our thinking,
That was great.
All true, and I trust that those same people will stay involved as we begin the process of thinking about the revised zoning and all of that. And so here we go, all in favor? Aye. Motion approved. We have a new master plan. Pleasantville-ny.gov is a good place to go to see it if you are so inclined. Last resolution of the evening, number 10, Mindy.
So can I move something, the minutes of a meeting I wasn't at?
Yes.
Sure.
I can move it, I just can't vote on it.
You can actually vote on it too, believe it or not.
I can?
Yeah.
You don't have to, but you can.
No, I'm just surprised, I never heard that. Resolved that the Board of Trustees has reviewed the minutes of the meetings held on Monday, December 12th, 2016, and December 28th, 2016, and they are hereby approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
The December 28th meeting was a short meeting, basically to move forward the check register and some administrative matters. So, any comments or corrections to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. With that, that's the last of our resolutions. Do we have a motion to go in, well, is there any new
Yes.
business, I should ask?
I have new business.
Okay.
I think it's new business.
Okay,
I'm not sure
go for it.
exactly where to put this, but
Yeah.
I wanted to put out to the community that I will be running for re-election as a trustee.
Glad to hear
Not
it.
sure if this is the right time or place to say that, but I will be putting my name in as a candidate again. It's an honor and privilege to serve this community, and I look forward to doing it further.
Yay,
I thank you for that. Glad to hear it, Steve.
good to hear.
Thank you.
Now that you know what the master plan is.
That's the tough part.
All right. Can I have a motion to enter an executive session on Cablevision Lightpath IMA with Westchester County, matters of real estate, police chief personnel updates, and matters of litigation?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We're off to executive session. Thank you all. All in favor? Aye, sorry. It's lucky people remind me that we have to vote. Happy New Year. Hopefully 2017 turns out to be a successful year for the Village of Pleasantville and all its residents and business people. We appreciate your attention and look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.